Alright guys, here we go. Dana 30 RCV performance shafts installation. Start out with, leave your adjusting sleeve up pretty high. You're going to need one of these castellated spanner sockets, I guess we call them. Leave it up kind of high. If you thought you were going to get away without replacing it, this is what I found when I took mine apart. It was already broken, been broken for some time. You can tell by the edges of it. Okay, on the knuckle, you're going to have to cut 1/8 of an inch off of it or so anyway when you're done. Whatever protrudes from the, you're going to cut it down to the top of the nut so that you'll have clearance for the cup. So you might as well do it ahead of time because it's going to give you a lot more clearance. I just use an air tool, cut-off tool. I didn't dress up the threads or anything. It makes a nice clean cut. The nut spins on easily, so it doesn't give me any problem. But you might want to start out with the nut already on it before you cut it. Up here on top, the lower ball joint, I chamfered that down a little bit, polished it up, nothing fancy. It's going to help you slide this on without pinching the boot, hopefully. Okay, you've already put your shaft in. There's a little bit of grease on the splines and on that clip because it has to compress into the groove, so you don't want it binding up on the female portion of this. A little bit of grease on the inside here, and a little bit on the inside of the cup so it can slide easily onto the joint. Slide that in. You want it as deep as it'll go because you're going to need the room. And just to eliminate any and all resistance, I wouldn't leave the patent numbers or the nice RCV label. Pick a spot that's just smooth, put a little grease on it, because you don't want this thing getting bound up. It's got to slide over the top of that. It's got to crush it down quite a bit. So, a little bit of grease there. You can wear rubber gloves, you don't have to. It's just fun sometimes. That or when the wife calls and says dinner's ready, you can rip them off and go have dinner. Alright, I've already got the shaft in this. It kind of makes a handy handle, but at the same time it's a little bit of extra weight. It's up to you how you want to do it. As you do this, you're going to hook the top threads up here into the C. You're going to tip the bottom ball joint outward, and you're going to have to rock the whole joint inward. You're going to kind of see what I'll try to keep my hands out of the way. This does work, but it's a bit of a trick. And you're probably going to want a second pair of hands here, but might get away without it. So, get it started. But again, you don't want too many threads up at the top, or you're just not going to have enough clearance. Looks like a real bind on that cup. It is. But it's a tough material. So, tip the joint, come down just enough to clear. Make sure that cup's working. As soon as you get to the hole, you want to start. You see, you're going to have to steer this joint out of the way as you do this. Oops. All right, try it again. There. It's a trick. Okay. Hope my knee wasn't in the way too much. Now, you use this top nut as your elevator so you can get this bottom nut started. Just using the top one and keep pulling it up. Okay, we're just about, excuse me, it's pretty well set now, okay? Now what you want to do is, now is the time to check that cup. It's not indestructible, it is tough. Make sure you didn't cut it or tear it. If you did, get on the phone with the folks at RCV, they're really good about things. Cups don't cost much. Order another. Order two if you think you're going to have trouble. It's not easy, but it's doable. Somewhere along the line, make sure that the cup for your upper ball joint is the arrow's pointing in the right direction. And so far, so good. Now, get things nice and squared up. You're going to have to pry this cup over the joint. It's a little tricky because you want to make sure that it's square on the joint. Doesn't roll a lip. If you're real careful, you're on. Okay. Find the splines of the shaft. Make sure you're on them. You'll know. You'll turn it. It'll go in about 1/4 of an inch. And then on. All right. It's on. It's in. It's amazing. Okay, don't go away. You're still going to have to use all the stuff that you used before, so might be a good time to get a new one of these. You can get them from 4-wheel drive hardware. I don't know, you might be able to get them from RCV. Heat it up a little bit. Propane torch is enough. Grab it with some needle nose channel locks. Heat it up. Get it on there. Tap it around. Make sure it's square. Reassembly. You're on your way. Thanks.